It was cocaine white with tampon red interior. So being in the exotic car business for 13 years, people have all sorts of questions for you, and typically it's, well, what's the coolest car you've ever sold? Or what's the most expensive car you've ever sold? I'm like, that's kind of a boring question, to be perfectly honest, because number one, you're not gonna know what it is. And number two, no matter what number I say, it's not gonna be as big as you're expecting, you know. So I think a more fun question is, well, what's the lamest car you've ever sold? And I've certainly got a few of those. I get some interesting and not so interesting trades offered to me, including tanning businesses and riverfront property in like Texas, and you know, baseball card collections, which I refuse all of those, but I do end up getting some fairly interesting cars on trade. I got a 1931 Packard on trade one time, which was pretty cool. One of the earliest lame cars I sold, and probably one of the cheapest, I think, of all time, was a Geo Metro. I think I sold it to a mechanic friend for $1,200, and driving it out to him, I was scared for my life because, you know, I think I could have taken the sheet metal and bent it. I mean, there was nothing between me and anyone else. You know, I drove an Ariel Atom on the highway one time and felt safer in that than I did in the Geo. I also had a builder friend of mine ask me to sell this boom truck for him. And it was a 82, I think, and it was just parked in this lot. And I knew absolutely nothing about it. And I told him that. He said, just sell it for me. I don't have time to deal with it. So I went out to this lot and took pictures of it and somehow found the data plates and got pictures of those and listed it on eBay, no reserve, and called him up and said, okay, I got $5,000 for your truck. I hope you're happy with that, because whether you like it or not, it's sold. That was an interesting one. And I think I still cherish that one because it's at least oddball enough that it was cool. I've actually sold 2 minivans, neither of which I officially admit to, but there's a couple interesting stories with some semi-terrible cars, and apologies if somebody's owned one of these, but I took this 89 Corvette in on trade, and it was cocaine white with tampon red interior, and it had these awful 22-inch chrome jobs on it, which, I mean, it lifted the car up. I mean, perfect for East Cleveland. It was definitely an Italian who traded it in. And as much as he made fun of his own car, I think he actually liked it. I decided to own that a little bit, and I drove it around for a while. And my friend was having a bachelor party at a golf course. And the emails are going around, and they were talking about coming in character. So they're all talking about different characters and what the theme is going to be. And I said, well, great. I'm just going to roll in this sexy C4 Corvette. I'm just going to do an 80s theme. So I busted out my skin tight polo shirt, popped the collar, got out my gold chains, cut off some jeans, and pulled up. Golf clubs in the passenger seat, you know. Turns out all the rest of them were just talking theoretically about coming in character. I was the only idiot to do it in actuality. I of course had the mustache as well, the trash stash. And I show up attempting to be 80s, but what I had in actuality pulled off with perfection was gay. So I come into the pro shop to get, you know, whatever I need. The golf pro is just staring at me, really confused. And he didn't say anything to me, but after I left, he said to everybody else within earshot, he goes, in 40 years of doing this, I have never seen anything like that. And of course, I forgot my sunscreen, and it was the first day out of the spring, so I ended up with just friggin' burn lines here and burn lines here, and it was awful. But we got really drunk and had a lot of fun with the golf carts. This one isn't nearly as exciting, but I had a Jaguar X-Type that I took in on trade for I don't know what. but it was a 6-speed manual, which made it slightly less abominable than it could have been. And I know some people like those cars, but they really are just awful, terrible cars. So I took this thing in on trade, and I could not sell it for the life of me. So I told my buddy who works with me, I said, listen, if you can sell this thing, I'll let you drive my Ferrari 348 for a week. And I had a titanium on Bordeaux 348 that I had bought for my wedding, and it actually matched our wedding colors and all that. And I had actually bought it from Atlanta years and years ago. I was down here on a gig. I met the guy before the gig and went and test drove his car and this and that and negotiated and then had it shipped back. Anyway, side story. I said, if you can sell this X-Type, you can drive my 348 for a week. Darn it, he sold that car. Sold it for a decent amount too. And so I let him drive the 348 for a week. And one of the few times I let somebody drive a car and they didn't bang it up. Apparently, during the week that he had it, it must have been late fall, we got a dusting of snow on the ground. But he had earned the right to daily drive this thing for a week, and so he was gonna drive it, come snow, rain, whatever. So of course he was driving this thing around in the snow and getting all sorts of attention. So he had a lot of fun with that while he had it.